giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Boston Scientific, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Yes, indeed. Thursday. This week's going by fast, man. Hey, today, picking up this hindsight series, man. We're going to evaluate the tight end group from 2022. Look at the future, which I think is bright. Talk about a potential person that might not return. All right. Also in the roundup, another Cowboys wide receiver speaks up, but this time it's different. It's about his role on the team and hopefully getting some more touches moving forward. So we'll take a look at that. And the Cowboys added another assistant on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think they're going to add too many assistants defensively. They got all their guys over there, but they're continuing to add their assistants on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll just dive into a little bit of who they hired and his background a bit. But welcome in, Cowboys Nation. Welcome in, Bomb Squad. How y'all doing?
Bomb Squad!
Brumley. Killing me with the Brumley. Please escort Dalton off the estate. Hold tight. We'll talk about, almost called him Andy, dog. We'll talk about Dalton Schultz a little bit later on in the show. Actually, it won't be too far later on in the show because this won't be a particularly long show. However, I see in the chat already, I'm seeing names get brought up for the draft. I'm seeing some high-profile names be brought up in the draft. I don't know. I don't know that Dallas needs to do that. But if you are for taking a tight end or you want to give your reasonings to, please call into the show. Let me know. 351-999-3787. I personally think this tight end group is in really good hands, and we'll talk about those reasons as why. And I want to hear your reasons as to what excites you about this group moving forward. All right, let's jump straight into it. Get to the meat and potatoes after this roundup and talk to you guys on the Pulse of the Nation hotline. Here we go.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Hey, yo. One Cowboys receiver is looking for a bigger role in a small body. It's Kavontae Turpin, man. He has spoken to the media, and I'll read this long quote here because it's interesting. He says, quote, "We had a talk during my exit meeting basically saying like they already know what I did with special teams this year and all that, but they're going to try and get me on the offense and try to make guys respect me more on both sides of the ball." I love to hear it. "I'm going into this training camp. I'm basically trying to show them that they have no choice but to use me on the offense. That's my mindset. I'm a playmaker with the ball in my hand, and I can scare guys without the ball. Just on the same field together, me and CeeDee Lamb, I just feel like that's my biggest thing going on. Just showing them that they got to have me on the field." End quote. Basically, he's saying they effed up last year, not put me out there. Now, we can get on him for, fumbling and special teams and whatnot, but I think we all agree that it was malpractice. It was wrong for them not to utilize Kavontae Turpin on offense a little bit more. No one's saying Kavontae Turpin had to get 10 touches a game. No one's saying he had to get 10 touches in 2 weeks, but he needed to be out there because he brought an aspect to the team that the Cowboys, one, lacked for years, and two, didn't utilize all season that could have put fear into opponents. Kavontae Turpin, just take a guess, unless you already know. If you know, you know. But just take a guess how many offensive snaps Kavontae Turpin had on the season. Just take a guess. I'm tired of it too, Toxic. Now, hopefully, the guy that wasn't using him, he's out the picture now. Maybe McCarthy and Schottenheimer will use him. Well, no, it's not that low. It's not that low. Not touches, y'all. Not touches. Snaps. Like just literally going out there lining up, and that counts as a snap. Damn, y'all think it ain't that bad. I'm seeing 15, 4. No. He got 62 offensive snaps, y'all. 62, which is abysmal. Let's just be honest. That sounds like a lot given the numbers y'all dropping in here, but it's not. Not when you have, over 1,000 snaps or what have you. He got 62. He had a season high 8 snaps in week 3, and he never saw more than 6 the rest of the season. Now, how many touches do you think he had? Because that looked like touches y'all were dropping there. How many touches do you think Kavontae Turpin had? And let's just say it ain't nowhere near 62, obviously, right? But it's nowhere near that. Kavontae Turpin had 4 touches all year. 4. There are people who say, oh, well, he's too little, or he's not a real receiver, or he's this, he's that. Okay. All right. I've been bringing up this dude ever since the Cowboys signed Kavontae Turpin. I could never remember his name. I always remembered his number. Number 11 for the Saints, Deontay Hardy. 5'6", probably about $165 soaking wet. Dynamo wide receiver. I always brought him up because he was very similar to Kavontae Turpin. Small dude, fast, quick, electric. And every time I would watch the Saints, I'd see Sean Payton find ways getting him the ball. In Sean Payton's final 2 seasons with Deontay Hardy, he had 56 receptions, over 700 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 56 receptions, 700 yards for a 5'6", 160 pounds or so wide receiver. Who is the guy that I've comped Kavontae Turpin to in the National Football League? I get there's bigger names like the Tavon Lawsons of the world and whatnot, but I was looking for a guy that almost fits that to the T. A guy that you're not asking to put the ball in his hands 85 times in the season. He had 26 receptions one year, I think 34 the next or something like that. So he's not touching it 80. He's not taking the ball away from your top guy's hands, but he's an electric player. I'm hoping that the Cowboys work towards that more. I'm hoping that Turpin next season has a defined role where he could see at the very least 20 touches in the season, man. I'm not asking for them to do anything out of the ordinary, but what is the point of having a guy with this type of explosiveness if you're not going to use him? And I can tell you probably why, because you had a coordinator who, again, just had a bunch of plays. He didn't know how to create consistent defined roles for guys like this. It was, hey, man, we need dudes that can go out here, run linear routes. Everything stems off of that. We don't do a bunch of overs. We don't do a bunch of isolations. And if you're going to do a lot of, comebacks and contested catches, Turpin's not your guy. Turpin's not your guy. And whenever they did have a creative play, which you don't even have to get super creative, a simple jet sweep, a simple fake jet sweep wheel route. These things aren't complicated. Hopefully, McCarthy can find a way to use them. And if they do find something that works, hopefully they go back to the well. Again, this is a copycat league. We just watched the Super Bowl where the Chiefs, Andy Reid, one of the greatest offensive minds of all time, quite literally took a play from the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Detroit Lions that worked against the Eagles, used those plays, created 2 touchdowns and a first down on 3rd down with those plays. And the reason why I bring that up about copying plays, because there's a guy named Agnew for the Jaguars that they use in a very similar role as Kavontae Turpin. Well, we want Kavontae Turpin to be used. He wasn't used that way. So we'll see if the new guys can get that going. What's going on here? Oh, here we go. The Cowboys continue to add to their offensive coaching hires by signing Ramon, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, Chin Young. I'm just going to say Chin Young, who was with the Denver Broncos last year. But if you're in Texas, maybe you've heard of this guy before. He was a Texas high school coach for over a decade, or about a decade, I should say, about a decade. Then he got hired by the Broncos as a offense quality control coach. And when I tried to find some information on him and ran into some insiders down there in Denver, sounds like they have nothing but good things to say about Coach Ramon here. So he'll get a chance to work side by side with one of the more respected offensive line coaches in Mike Solari, and likely try to build up his resume. I'm hearing he's a guy that is looked at as one of the young up and coming dudes in this league that could potentially be an offensive line coach himself at some point. But right now he's going through the works, right? Like coaches should do. They should go through the works, not get handed major roles right out the gate. But he's going through the works and building his resume to become an offensive line coach at some point in time in his career. So can't wait to hear him speak and possibly get a chance to talk to him down at training camp. But it's very likely that Coach Ramon will get a chance to work with not only Mike Solari, but these tight ends. Not only these tight ends, but Coach Lunda Wells, who I want to give a major shout out to here in a second. But what's good, Bomb Squad? Those that are just coming in here, we briefly talked about Kavontae Turpin bringing up that he wants a bigger role, and the coaches told him they expected for him to have a bigger role moving forward. If that is the case, right, you know what that means, right? They basically saying, hey, he gone, I got you. He gone, I got you. And then the new offense assistant has been hired. I agree with you. Al Kareem Turner says, I love our tight ends. I absolutely love this group. And as I said at the top of the show, I think it's one of the more, well, I didn't say it, but I'm saying it now. I think it's one of the more promising groups post Jason Witt. Well, Sky, he retired 4 years ago, or he left the Cowboys 4 years ago. It's not that long. Sure. And I know we've had Schultz and we've had Jarwin, but Schultz is what he is, and Jarwin could not stay healthy. And I was a big Jarwin fan, but he could not stay on the field. This group different though, man. And I got to give a lot of credit and a big shout out to Lunda Wells, who not only has helped develop Dalton Schultz, by the way, who had a career year last year, but has shown that he can take a guy like a Peyton Hendershot and say, hey, brother, we're going to need you to be a better blocker. We're going to need you to do more inline things and help him develop in that way. Now, he's not a finished product and he wasn't perfect, and we'll get to Peyton Hendershot here in a second. But he helped elevate him. A guy like Sean McKeon, he continues to get better. Obviously, Jake Ferguson, like this group is just a really solid group, and I think Lunda Wells deserves some credit. And then if you go look when he was with New York, he did some developmental things too. So I'm pretty high on Coach Wells, and I'm excited to see him help mold the young guys moving forward that I think are going to be the core of this team at tight end. So let's talk about those tight ends. And I want to start off with Sean McKeon. He's I don't even know if I want to use the term pet cat of mine, but I've always liked Sean McKeon since his rookie season. I thought he showed some promise in preseason as a pass catcher when he came out as a blocker for the most part. Then he got hurt. And I'm like, okay, year two, let's see what happens. And same thing happened. Showed promise in training camp, promise in preseason, got hurt. And here we are. Sean McKeon had his best year of his career. And I know it's not a lot in regards to statistics, but if you look at how he was used, he had a defined role, right? They used Sean McKeon as a special teams guy and as a blocker who did some inline things and backfield things. He lined up in the backfield more than any tight end on the team. I believe it was close to about 40 snaps in the backfield. And Professor O can attest to this. We absolutely hate the Hawk package. We kept saying we replaced that with the tight end because you can do different things with that. Obviously, the tight end is quicker to get to the hole. He's used to banging with some of these defensive ends and linebackers as well. Plus, you can fake it and get him out on a route. Although, in the biggest game of the season, your offensive coordinator sent 2 offensive linemen out for a route. But hey, he's a genius. McKeon did a fantastic job, I think, as the de facto fullback. He has another year left on his contract, and obviously he'll be brought back. And I think he'll be a part of the core 13 personnel moving forward, which is another reason why I don't know that you particularly need to grab a tight end on day 1 or 2. I probably wouldn't touch one until day 3 to just to add to the room and create more competition. But I think you're in good hands here moving forward, and you got your top 2 guys, which we'll get to, who I think will be tight end 2 next year. Peyton Hendershot. Peyton Hendershot was listen, this is one of those Lundewell specials, because not just the receiving things. By the way, you're going to look at some of these receiving numbers for these tight ends, and they're not going to be great because they didn't utilize them enough in the passing game. But Peyton Hendershot, what I like the most, because I remember back when Professor O told me to look at Peyton, I was like, man, he's a receiving guy, hell of a receiving guy. And we were talking about who was the other blocker dude? Sprinkle. I'm like, man, I'll take Peyton Hendershot over some goddamn Sprinkle. Let's see what we can do. My worry was, well, can he develop as a run blocker? Can he develop as a blocker in general? Can he develop in doing some of the dirty things? He developed in doing that. He absolutely developed in doing that. Now, he had some big drops, and obviously one in Tennessee went right into the defender's hands for an interception. But he also did way more good things, I think, this year. And he had some penalty issues, too. I think he had about 4 or 5 penalties. But he did so much more on film and so much more positive things to build on that should have you excited. He's one of those get upfield tight ends. He's also a yak guy. He can stretch the field. Hopefully his hands get a little bit better, but you could put him in the backfield. I mean, if you look at one of the plays that he ran, this play right here, this was a cool play. We never came back to it. Typical Kellen. But a reverse to a tight end, you don't see that often. Another play, the wheel route that we were begging to see more often. Put your guys in positions against mismatches. You got a mismatch on a tight end that can get upfield. Didn't see it again. That was the last time we saw it. He can do these things for you. And then this was a play that we broke down, which was another wheel route, but it was from a motion in the backfield. He can do these things for you. I like Peyton Hendershot a lot. I think moving forward, you have a dynamic 1-2 punch. And I think we need to lean on that at times. Maybe not throughout the entire game, but for sure at times. And here's another cool thing. He lined up in the slot 46% of the time, which was most by Cowboys tight ends. No tight end lined up even close to that this season. Now, Schultz did so in previous seasons. He lined up, I think, a career high 50% a couple seasons ago. But Peyton Hendershot showed you, okay, I can do a little bit of a backfield things. I can spread out wide. I can do some slot things. I'm not really an inline guy, but I'm a tight end, so I got to do inline things as well. He's a move around tight end. And I think next year they should look into doing that. Kind of reminds me of the athletic Richard Rodgers when he was with the Packers. And I'm trying to bring up guys that were with the Packers at the time. Not quite the Jermichael Finley, right? The big physical athletic freaks, or the Grahams or the Bennetts of the world. But Rodgers was sneaky. He was a sneaky athletic guy that when they threw him the rock, he was productive. I think Peyton Hendershot could be this team's Richard Rodgers when you have that other tight end that we'll get to here in a second. So Peyton Hendershot, man, if you want to give it a letter grade, man, I'll give him a B minus for the season. At the very worst, a C+ because of the couple drops and penalties. If you want to ding him for those, but I'm so excited for the development of him in the blocking game because you're going to need those tight ends to block. And he fought. And that's all I can ask for. He was a fighter, and he looked much better as a pro than he did as a collegiate athlete, which he was more of a guy that they wanted to get involved in the red zone and get involved in the passing game. So shout out to Lundwell, shout out to Peyton Hendershot. I give him a B- on the season. A lot to look forward to with Peyton. My bad, y'all. We ain't talking about no cornerbacks. All right, let's get to the phones real quick. See what y'all got to say about one Peyton Hendershot. Reek, what's goody?
Yo, what's going on?
What's up with you, man?
Cooling. Good morning, everybody. I think, you know me, man. I really believe that our coach is gonna get it together, fire some of these players in their roles, and I think a person like Kavontae Turpin is definitely gonna get a bigger role because, hey man, you gotta give a guy a bigger role that got hit on that last play like that. He showed us he can catch the ball in traffic under duress and take a big shot, and he took a big shot. And he held on to that rock. That showed me something.
Hey, Reek.
So you telling me?
So we got to reward him, bro. Like, we got to reward him.
Reward him,
I
man.
got you.
Uh-huh. Because he was under somebody that couldn't use the wide receiver skills that we have on this team properly, man. And he's gone. So you know a person like Mike is just chomping at the bit to use some of these dudes, man. So... Oh, don't mind me, man. I'm in the car, man. But yeah, man. A person like Turpin, he deserves a chance, and I think Mike is gonna give him a chance. Hey, man, I don't know what's that wide receiver out of Boston College. His name's Zay something.
Is that the Flowers kid?
Yeah, man. If we can get our hands on somebody like that, Dak Prescott is going to have a ball with that boy. Could you imagine defenses have to deal with him, Turpin, and Lamb? Man, somebody's going to be open all the time. But he had that. To me, I like the way that boy Flowers play, man, because he reminds me of an Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
he reminds me of a baby Antonio, man.
I'm a big fan of Flowers. Draft people, what is y'all projection? We'll look at some of the experts. What are y'all projections on Zay Flowers from a round standpoint? Go ahead.
Yeah, man, because I want to do a little bit of what Philly did with Brown and Smith, but just have a better version of that. You know what I mean? So that's my thing, man. But I already got too much to say this morning, man. Do your thing. I listen, man.
Appreciate you, big dog. They said, hey, man, Turpin got rung, so he got. Yeah, I agree with Professor. It was just like a regular hit. He's just little. But again, wasn't that a. Hold on. This is exactly why you couldn't use Turpin the way in Kellen Moore's offense. It was a comeback route. What do you think is going to happen when the dude is smaller than me, runs a goddamn comeback route against a physical defense like that? Go watch. And I'm really not trying to take anything away from Jalen Hurts. He had a top 5 season this year. Talking about a top 5 quarterback moving forward is a whole different discussion. But go watch how AJ Brown's route tree was about as basic as I've ever seen in my life this season. He ran 9s, he ran overs, and he ran drags. But they had a wrinkle in their drags, unless it was just him being a very savvy receiver. They were running on a drag. And because these corners or these linebackers, whoever got matched up on, was so worried about him getting over on them, either they would purposely throw it for him to stop, back shoulder, depending on obviously the coverage, and AJ would almost instantaneously just pivot the opposite direction and get so much yak. That's how you would have to use Turpin. 9 over drag. You don't got to make it complicated. And he got so much yak off of those type of routes or off of that drag type of route. But Brown can handle the comebacks and the hits. That's not Turpin. Turpin is not a guy you want to run into digs into a safety firing down on him, or run into a stop route in the middle of the field like that, or comeback route where he's the second and third, read, and now he has to get hit. That's not what you want to do. Screens is another one. DMV, absolutely. It's another one. So, just go pop on the tape of how Hardy was used in New Orleans, and I think Turpin could be utilized in the same way, without a shadow of a doubt. Mr. Danny Macho Man Randy Savage, what up?
How y'all? Good morning, Sky.
Good morning.
I think Turpin has little man syndrome because he looks like he looks to run into contact because he's always like one step away from breaking it. It looks like
the returns. Yeah, he could be a bit of annoying in a return game because
it's annoying.
It's like, is his vision a little like I question his vision because I feel like he could have returned at least 2 or 3 touchdowns this year. Yeah.
I feel like he has lack of vision, to be honest with you. So we're talking tight ends. We're talking tight ends today.
Indeed.
I'm going to give you 2 day 3 guys. Then I'm going to give you a free agent that someone's going to take a chance on. My 2 day 3 guys, and let me tell you something. Just my opinion, tight end and running back are probably the 2 most deepest positions in this draft. So day 3, we're going to start off with Will Mallory, tight end, the U. For people that don't know, that's Miami. This kid has played with about 5 different quarterbacks throughout his career there. He will get drafted on day 3. My second guy, Josh Wiley, Cincy. Now, his 2022 tape is not that great because his entire team, and plus his quarterback, Desmond Ridder, left last year. If you throw on his 2021 tape,
what's his name? I'm sorry?
You're going to be like Josh Wiley, Cincinnati. Watch his 2021 tape with Desmond Ridder. If you look at his 2021 tape, you'll say this kid's a 3rd rounder. You look at his 2022 tape, where his entire team left, he was just going through the motions. And he's going to be a 3rd round pick. Now, I'm going to give you another guy who won't get drafted, will be a free agent, undrafted free agent, Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion. He originally committed to Penn State, didn't work out. He's 6'8". He needs some NFL peanut butter, but he can go up there and get it. I don't know what issues he had at Penn State, but just on this kid's size, someone's going to take a chance. And I let Schultz go and spend the money somewhere else.
Yeah, we'll get to that point. I'm with you. Appreciate those names. I'm going to check those guys out, and I appreciate you bringing up the day 3 point.
You got it, Sky. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yep, good stuff, Danny. Yep. The reason why I'm all about day 3 is because I just flat out believe in Jake Ferguson as your guy. Like Jake Ferguson, listen, call it bias, call whatever the hell you want. After that, I think it was sometime in the middle of the season, not jokingly, but I ain't joking. I said he has Kelsey type potential, but obviously he would need Kelsey type of targets in order to ever be close to that production. But when I just watched them play as professionals, I just saw baby Kelsey. I mean, just flat out, I did. Again, the numbers will not be great because they didn't utilize this guy a lot. 19 receptions, 174 yards, 2 tutties. But look at this. Look at this. Both Jake Ferguson and Hendershot averaged over 9 yards per reception. 71% of his yards were after the catch. It's bonkers. 71%. Jake Ferguson, and when we did the Bucks game, you saw his IQ. You saw him develop. The more and more he played, I'm just so high on this kid moving forward that I think he has the potential to elevate into one of those Mark Andrews types. Now I know I talk about Kelsey, but I mean, when I say Mark Andrews, I mean, look, it's Kelsey, it was Kittle, at one point it was Ertz, but people kind of forgot, hey, Mark Andrews is a top 5 tight end. He just kind of went by the wayside unless you played fantasy football. I think if Ferguson is tight end 1, and he's a guy that is the featured tight end. When I say featured, I mean he's going to be a part of this offense, especially in West Coast. Jake Ferguson can put up quality production, and not just quality production, but be an issue for teams. Be a problem to where, and we got to worry about him not just catching the ball and getting 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but he might take off on you, and he's unsuspecting. Like he has unsuspecting agility. He can make you miss. He's got soft hands. I mean, he's got the total package, in my opinion, at tight end. And it's funny because coming out, he kind of fit that mold, right? Of there's the old Cowboys style of tight ends, right? The blockers out of Big Ten that you hope to develop as receivers. No, sir. No, sir. Jake Ferguson is athletic as hell. Jake Ferguson can do things after the catch. He can go up and get the rock. He's a fighter in line as a blocker. I said this in preseason. His tight end, his linebacker background often shows as a blocker. He's not a complete blocker. He's not, he's still likely going to have to work there, putting on that off-season peanut butter. But he's kind of the opposite of Peyton Hendershot in regards to where they line up, which is why I think they fit so perfect. Peyton Hendershot lined up 46% in the slot. Jake Ferguson lined up 74% as an inline guy. So he's kind of your traditional type of tight end in regards of usage. But I like that because he can get up the seams quicker from that spot. He can look like I'm gonna block this play, and like you see here on these play actions, he can do so many different things. I don't mind a tight end being utilized in line, but use the damn dude when he's as good as a guy like this. Hey, look, Schultz was good this season. Schultz, when Dak got back, was fine. I have a problem with him, but they should have used Jake Ferguson more. They absolutely should have used Jake Ferguson more. This kid's got a lot of potential, and I personally think he can be better than Schultz sooner than later. What Schultz had, though, was the chemistry with the quarterback. He understood off defenses because he played in the league for 5 years. So that's going to happen. But I watched Jake Ferguson develop the more and more he played. I don't think it's going to take long from this kid. Mike McCarthy likes him. He's a hard worker. He has a great chemistry, great relationship with Hendershot. They call him Ferguson. I'm excited. I'm excited for what these two cats can do together on this team. What are y'all feelings on grades? If we're going to do grade, A, that's an A. It's an A for me. I understand he didn't have a lot of numbers, but at the very least, he's an A player. I know that for sure. He's an A player. He might not have had A production because he didn't get the opportunities to, but he is 100% an A player. And at the beginning of the season, when Schultz went down for 2 or 3 games, and also Dak went down, we did a lot of film study on, I think it was the Cincinnati game, a little bit of the Ram. I think it was like 3 games. There were opportunities. Another one was, I believe, the Giants game. There were opportunities for Jake Ferguson to put up even bigger numbers in those games, but the tight end really wasn't a go-to factor for Cooper Rush. That wasn't his thing. But I think a full offseason of Jake working in the Dak yard as the tight end 1, come on, let's go. A for me. I believe this is We Don't Wipe Them 304s. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
What's good, Chris?
Hey, man, it is good to talk to you this morning. I turned into you yesterday with Marquise. Somebody was saying that Tua was better than Dak. I couldn't, bro.
Who?
I couldn't. Somebody said there were these guys actually trying to make a point that Tua is better than Dak. I lost it. Was not one of my most proudest moments.
Hey. Damn. You had a this mother ain't copper moment.
Yeah, man. I had this motherfucker ain't. I'm sorry. I had this motherfucker ain't copper, ain't platinum, ain't steel, ain't whatever. I don't even know what it is. Yo,
I don't blame you.
Bro, I lost my mind, man. I lost my mind when they said that, and they made an actual point too. They thought they were making points. So when it comes to the wide receiver room, you know how Botch talks about, the Kansas City Chiefs having that wide receiver 2 all-star team, and that's like their substitute for a wide receiver number 1.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be a good idea to get a bunch of wide receiver 3s and kind of use that same strategy to be like the wide receiver 2 on this team instead of going and getting a guy like a Jerry Jeudy or a DJ Moore to be your number 2 wide receiver?
I get that because you already have a CD Lamb, right? I don't think the Cowboys are in a desperate need to get a DJ Moore if they can kind of replicate what the Chiefs did, where they just surrounded their guy with some veteran dudes who have been proven and healthy and are, going to play type of guys, because you have a wide receiver 1. So you're saying get a bunch of wide receiver 3s. I don't know if I go that low. I say go get me dudes that can be playmakers. That's what I want. If they're considered a 3, whatever, but go get me a guy or 2 guys, oppo of CD Lamb, that can make plays when you put the balls in their hand. Flat out.
100%.
Noah Brown and Michael Gallup weren't those guys to me. They are not those guys to me.
Oh, hell no. Absolutely, I agree. I asked Vox about it yesterday on I sent him a super chat. I was talking about John Michael Schmitz. Man, like, he's such a good player, man. Like, even if we go a line in the first round, if he's there, I would have to see it. If I were in the draft room, and obviously I'm not because, I'm not. But if he's there, and they drafted him, I would be ecstatic. I'd be jumping up and down. If he's there at 26, which he definitely will be, if they drafted him there, I would be excited. Like, to me, he's Landon Dickerson, and I think Landon Dickerson's one of the best young offensive linemen in football right now. That's how good I think he is. And I know there's other positions on the field that need, attention, but man, he's such a good player, dude.
I might have a take for y'all. I'm waiting to really throw it out there. I might talk about it later on Vacha's show since we're talking draft, but listen, I think offensive line is 100% something that the Cowboys should look at early in the draft, but man, I'm looking at some of these other positions and I'm just like, man, I think we might need that. I'll hold off on the take till later. So tune into to about 3:06, and I'll just tell Vach my take and see if y'all hate it. But look, I like John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. I really do. I think he has the potential to take over for Biadasz if they want to put him at center. It can be very, like the Landon Dickerson thing. They drafted Dickerson to take over for Kelsey, ended up being a Pro Bowl guard, likely will move to center. I think it could be very similar to that if they take him. But I think the caller yesterday on that show brought up double dipping at offensive line in round 1 and 2, and I just thought that's a bit much. But if he's there at 56 or wherever we pick, and we take a different position in round 1, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And one last question before I go. I'm cautiously optimistic about Mike McCarthy calling plays next year, and the only reason why I'm cautiously optimistic compared to just being optimistic is that, like, when this offense went stale over the last 2 years, he's an offensive head coach. Like, is it crazy for me to think to be a little worried about the fact that, like, we weren't making adjustments and this is supposed to be his bread and butter offense?
So I want to be fair because I felt like we were adjusting in the first half of the season. I felt like we saw some adjustments, particular halftime adjustments. Obviously, they had to adjust when Dak went down. I felt like there was adjustments. The issue with me wasn't necessarily the adjustments, more so I don't even know if it's stubbornness with Kellen, but like, again, we talk about it all the time. Like, you have a bag of things that work, and for whatever reason, you don't. It's like from week to week, you switch it up completely, and I just don't understand why, right? And I don't know if McCarthy was how much. Let me ask you this: what percentage would you put the offensive everything on McCarthy? because I don't know that he had a whole lot. I feel like it's less than 20%. I feel like he just sat back and said, listen, this is your baby. You handle it. I'll give you some advice. We're going to try to install a little bit of some West Coast things, but I don't know that he really was, his hands were on this offense. I don't.
Yeah, I would say at least 10%, just because he is an offensive-minded head coach. But I mean, from like a coaches and coordinator standpoint, I would give a majority of that to Cowan. Yeah, I agree.
10% seems fair, because when you got a coach like McCarthy coming out multiple times in press conferences and saying, this ain't what I do. I would do X, Y, Z. I don't like X, Y, Z. This is what we used to do. This is how it's like, all right, dog, then you ain't doing nothing here. And he probably was like, yup, you're right. I ain't doing nothing because your owner don't want me to do anything. He wants Boy Genius to run everything, so I'm letting him run everything. Now, though, he's the guy. So now there is no middleman. It's McCarthy or die.
And that's what I'm excited about. Like, once they get into these interviews, it's going to be, Mike McCarthy's answering the questions about, his decisions instead of somebody else's decisions.
Right. That's an excellent point. That's excellent. Yeah.
So, well, all right, Sky. Always a pleasure talking to you, my guy.
Appreciate you, Chris. Aaron said, McCarthy showed that when he slammed his headset down versus Green Bay. It's like watching your house burn in flames, not being able to do a damn thing. Did somebody ask him about that? Because now that old boy in here, I'm like, hey, were you upset with the call? What were you upset with? Were you upset with the non-call on the third down pass interference? Which was a pass interference? What were you upset with? Professor O, just hold tight. Because listen, man, I think I got to take that. Fans ain't going to like me. All right, look, let's get to the last player, and it's funny that he's last. And one, Dalton Schultz. It's probably gonna be the quickest one here. Listen, salute Dalton Schultz. You had another good year. I have no issues with you as a player. I think you're a solid tight end. I think you will go on to be a solid tight end for another team. I don't think he did anything this year to alter my opinion on him from the end of 2021. Nothing good, nothing bad. Like, it's not worse. It's quite literally the exact same. Finished the season with 577 yards, 10 yards per reception, 5 touchdowns on the season. Mind you, he only played in 15 games. But he was what we thought the second leading receiver, and he was going to be the second leading receiver. It's crazy when you look at this. CeeDee Lamb, 1,300 yards. The next leading wide receiver had 550 yards, Noah Brown. And then it drops down to 400. Boy, our receiving group was, look, you can be mad at me all you want. It was trash. But Dalton Schultz, he probably is pissed, to be honest. His time to get the bag likely was last year. 8 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards receiving, 70-something receptions. That was his time to shine. Comes back, gets dinged up. The offense gets nerfed. And his production gets nerfed. Now, he had a couple touchdowns in the playoffs. Didn't do too well to end the playoff game, though, in San Fran. But now he's got to go back out in the free agent market and try to get the bread. I wish him well. I hope he gets the bag somewhere. It just should not be here, because I think you got 2 guys behind him that have the potential to be better and be more impactful in this offense from an explosive standpoint and have a higher ceiling. And that's with all due respect to Dalton Schultz. Go get your bag, just not here. Brumley. Dalton Schultz, I would give a C+. Probably not fair. But I'll give him a C+ this year. Hurt guy. Didn't really develop a rapport with it's not his fault he got hurt, but didn't develop a rapport with Cooper Rush when he was there. But when that came back, that did start to click in. And maybe I'm holding a little tiny bit of bias. I ain't like how he kind of went out like a chump in the playoff game. But C plus, B minus. Probably more fair to say B minus, honestly. He didn't do anything to alter my opinion from last year. That's basically what I'm getting at. He is what he is. I'll give him a B, says James. C, says Joe. B minus, says Captain B, Reggie. Iceberg Q, they absolutely do. I got one later. Kellen Moore already making... He got $10 million on the tag. Hope he doesn't expect that in free agency. Yeah, I wouldn't pay dollars for that. But somebody probably will give him the bag. They'll probably give him the bag. Coach Marv, would you, or not Coach Marv, but Magic City Marv, would you give Dalton Schultz the bag?
Hell no.
I already know it.
Dalton Schultz was
The conference has been locked.
he was in the system, Kellen Moore's system, and it made all our receivers pitiful. And I'm going to tell y'all, me and you been talking still, and you know what I'm saying. I put some money on it right now. I put $100 and write this down still. I'm going to pay $100, and I guarantee you, one of the two of our receivers, Simi, Dennis, Brandon, Callaway, one of them will have 600, 700, 800 yards.
I got to laugh. Because remember last year, Marv, you said we was going to have 1,000 receivers?
Yeah. But y'all have to educate me, though. I forgot about that stupid rock tree.
Yeah.
Now, still, it's like I'm playing for you. And, Marv, we running a West Coast offense. Do this. Okay, I ain't got to think no more. And I got to use my speed. And, come on.
So Marv, let me give you a little bit of an out here. How about we? I mean, unless you want to go this far, how about we wait to see who they bring in, right? Because they might draft a guy, they might sign a guy.
Oh, they ain't gonna draft a guy.
So if that's the case, somebody like Simi or Dennis Houston or Brandon Smith, probably two or all three of those dudes, might not be on this roster at all, and then boom, you out $100. Like maybe you should wait.
We'll wait, but we'll see.
Try to save you some money.
Put it this way: whatever new receiver comes with this West Coast offense, one of them going. Y'all, we're gonna be talking good.
Okay.
And we forgot about Jalen Torber too, because you gotta remember they all yak receivers. They didn't get to use the yak.
Yeah.
He was all like thinking receiver. Ooh, I'm lining offside.
I will give you this, Marv. I will give you this. My sleeper, whatever you want to call it, is Simi, man. I feel like Simi's has a chance to be, again, trying to use my Packer recalls here. I can't think of it right, but I think that Simi has a chance to be a guy that can elevate to wide receiver 4 or 3 and be kind of dependable. You know.
You know who mine's gonna be? Jalen. Oh
yeah, I mean Jalen's got talent as well. You know, Jalen and Simi to me are kind of on that same tier.
Look at that. What we say? Look at that still. We got all that speed. We got guys on the bench that got speed. Then you gotta remember, it's like still, Mar used to be a knucklehead. Now you give me a second chance. That's Callaway. You gotta remember, Cleveland was never gonna get rid of Callaway, but he got in trouble, so they let him go. And he like, man. And then in the camp, like I was telling one of my friends, one of my frat bros, he like, man, that dude Callaway is cold-blooded when he was in the camp.
Marv.
That's why they kept him.
Marv.
Huh?
Callaway? You gonna put your money on Callaway?
But I'm just saying, all the receivers, just put it this, all the receivers we got have a chance to shine now. We out of that stupid Kellen Moore offense, and all the San Diego receivers gonna be pissed. Because when Denver gonna know their routes, that Denver defense gonna know their routes. Herbert got 20 interceptions.
Boy, listen, I'm gonna have to take you on that bet. You bringing up Callaway now, but look, you're right. Here's what you're basically saying is what we've been saying, right? Like this West Coast system is wide receiver friendly, for sure. It's just a matter of the distribution of that. Is usually keen on a couple guys, not 5 guys, not 4 guys. It's usually a couple guys, and then they work around that. But I think somebody will emerge. One of those young guys will emerge, and hopefully they do something around that. And hopefully the other guy is healthy and not out there playing on a messed up knee and ankle. And Michael Gallup.
Yeah, and there's so many dangerous receivers in this draft. And, like I tell you, my favorite 3 halfbacks, the Tulane halfback, the TCU halfback, and that halfback from Texas A&M. Oh, my God.
Check out the Ole Miss dude, too. I just checked him out the other day. I like him. Was it Zach?
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name, but he's a smooth dude.
He's smooth. But did you see that You see that Texas A&M halfback?
Yeah, I watched. Who was it? Tuck. I watched Tuck do a study on him. Zach Evans. Thank you, Professor. I like Zach Evans.
He's a world-class sprinter, man. And you put him in that West Coast because McCormick is so happy. He's gonna run 3 halfback system. So that's what I'm saying. Zeke, if you're listening, if you do not take a pay cut, Zeke, salute, bye-bye. They're not playing. They're going to get rid of you, brother. You better take. They got all of them on buying because the only person they really want to keep, and I hate to tell y'all, is probably the only guy they really want to keep is Tyron Smith. He's going to be a swing tackle. That's the only one.
We'll
Zeke, I'm sorry, my brother. You better take if you go in there with the attitude, you get out of here.
You gotta land it, brother. You gotta learn how to land it, Mar. Appreciate the call, good man.
Yes, sir, brother. Have a good day.
You too. Every time I thought Mar about to land that thing, he said, "Oop, hydraulics, motherfucker." Hydraulics. Hey, Casino, don't get mad, man. I locked the lines. I can't keep the lines open all day. I'll be here till noon. We got to keep this thing moving, dog. Now, what is you saying in here so I can read what you're saying? Anyway, my suggestion is draft Dugan and pair him with Hendershot. I like Ferguson's heart, but he's slow. Okay, I like Hendershot's speed, Dugan and Hendershot. What? So, what are you, Dugan and Hendershot? You mean like as the starters? What are you talking about? Draft Dugan and pair him with Hendershot as backups? Because, quarterback 2 and tight end 2? What are we doing here? Yeah, that's the other thing too. But I mean, listen, if you want a 4-3 tight end, I guess. But I mean, I've seen Ferguson outrun tight ends. Outrun linebackers. Eventually, yes. So you're saying, at some point move on from Dak and Dugan is your guy and pair him with Henderson. I mean, in that case, I like other younger quarterbacks to develop. Sure, draft a quarterback. Hopefully he develops as a starter, whether it be for this team or another team. And you're saying pair him with Hendershot. I mean, look, they got 2 tight ends, Hendershot and Ferguson. Use them both as starters the year after next. So 2024. Oh, it's a hell of a take. Los, what it do?
Good morning, Scott, man. I hope you're having a great morning. Hey, I mean, the off-season begins now, right? And I'm all with you with Dalton Schultz getting the bag elsewhere. And, let's keep developing these 2 young tight ends. And we've seen what they can do with, Yak, catch up, the catch and run. Similar to I'm not calling them, very similar to Travis Kelce because Travis Kelce is a whole different being.
I am.
But, you are?
Yep. I think Ferguson's a baby. I'm telling you, bro. I think Ferguson got everything. He's a 5-tool player at the position that I think can be one of those ones that people forget. Like, yo, this dude is putting up numbers. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying similar to Travis Kelce, but I'm not calling him like a bona fide Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Travis Kelce personally said Jake Ferguson's a guy that he, kind of reminds him of. So I'm just saying.
Hey, all right. Hey, if that's the case, man, I think that would do wonders for Dak. And I think, if we can help him just adjust, more after the yak and stuff like that, I think this offense can, keep on developing
Dak
forward.
is going to do wonders for him. I think Ferguson's going to would do wonders for the offense because we haven't had a tight end that can do those type of things in a very long time. So, no matter who the tight end is, I think he's going to be successful with Dak. But I think, can that tight end help your offense then become even more successful?
Exactly, Scott. And lastly, I know y'all were talking about Diggs, and I kind of want to chime in about it. And I think you have to keep a great corner like Diggs on your team because you have to help neutralize the Justin Jeffersons of the world, Mike Evans, etc., and which he's shown to do, And I think the more you help the secondary is by adding more pressure to the quarterback and making that D-line, making those windows close a little bit more sooner than expected. And I will say if there's one corner who I say can take advantage of any 50-50 ball, it's going to be Diggs. So I'm totally against getting rid of Diggs for nothing. I say let's see what we can, at least try to find a way we can keep them on this team. But you have to find like a great corner in this team. But I feel like you have to help him with over the top or with that D-line. And I'll just leave with your opinions on that, Sky.
Yep. All right, appreciate you, Lowe's. I don't think you have to help Diggs over the top. I think it was the cornerback, too, you had to help over the top. Look, just Diggs continue to keep developing. I believe in Diggs continuing to develop as a pro. He's still, 24 or something crazy like that? He hasn't even hit his ceiling yet. Will in the chat said, can he be Goddard or Kittle? So Kittle and Kelsey are it's like Patrick Mahomes, like Pat and then everybody else. Kittle, Kelsey, and then you talk about everybody else. But Goddard, yep. I definitely think he could be Goddard. See, here's the thing. Those guys, not only are they skilled, or that guy, something like Dallas Goddard, is he skilled, but he's featured. And that's what I said at the top of the show. Like, if they feature Jake Ferguson can be one of those Mark Andrews, Dallas Goddard types where everybody talks about Ertz, Kittle, and Kelsey for years, but then you'd be like, oh, snap. Mark Andrews is top 5. Oh, snap. Dallas Goddard out here killing. I think he can do that. I think Ferguson can do that. And I could end up being wrong because he said, well, if that's the case, then we don't need to draft one high. Nope. I don't think we do. I don't think we do at all. That's why I said at the top of the show, I see a lot of people bringing up, some of these high-profile tight ends, and I'm like, listen, y'all, I just don't see the need to. I think Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot are your guys, and you got them on rookie deals for the next 3 seasons. And then Sean McKeon is here for another year. So, if I was looking at a tight end, I'm not looking at a tight end until day 3. And I'm trying to find a way to feature Jake Ferguson because tight end is probably the biggest X factor in today's offenses. Too big for corners, too athletic for linebackers, and too big for safeties. That's why a Jaron Kearse is coveted because he can cover tight ends. But there's not a lot of them that can do that. But we never really took advantage of that. And when you saw the Cowboys do it with Peyton Hendershot, getting him out on the wheel route against a defensive lineman or a pass rusher or a linebacker, that's valuable. I don't think we've ever did that. I think it was just kind of run-of-the-mill, hey, you just do normal tight end things. I'm very curious to see if they use these two cats in mismatch roles. Five, 6, 9. Then we got a special one at the end. 559. What it do?
How's it going, Sky? Love your show, man.
Thank you, sir.
I listen to every once now, man.
Thank you.
All right. So if I'm not mistaken, I think the Chiefs wanted Hendershot.
Ooh, that'd have been nasty
when they went undrafted, and he chose Dallas over Chiefs. Because Chiefs, they recognize talent, and I think Hendershot's going to be a star in this league, man. I think he has the speed to be a kind of like a Deebo Samuel kind of player, man. Like, I honestly believe that.
Who's that?
Hendershot.
Oh,
he just has the speed, man. Like him or Simi Fioco as well. They both got speed, man. They just,
Yeah, I think if I had to comp Semi to a Packer, because I keep trying to recall Packers, I would say a potential to be a faster Allen Lazard, right? Like a guy, Allen Lazard didn't really break out onto the scene until like his third year, well, really this year, but last year you saw him do some things. This will be Semi's third year. Dealt with some depth things, but he's got skills. He's got size. He's got speed. I think he's got some good hands too. So and he's got a big catch radius. I think he could maybe have an Allen Lazard type of, when I say type of breakout, I don't necessarily mean the production, but like in camp and preseason, and then like, hey, we got to use this guy in the offense, you know. But he was killing in camp last year. He really was.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I don't know about the Debo role for Peyton, but I think I get what you're saying. I think you're trying to say he is versatile, right? Like he can line up in the backfield, come out, run a route, got that handoff, that jet sweep, get downfield. He's developing as a blocker. Yeah, I think Peyton Hendershot has some potential to be a really solid tight end too, and hell, maybe even potential to be tight end one. I won't go that far just yet, but because I think Ferguson's tight end one. All right, this next caller is brought to you by Boston Scientific. If you are one of 39 million men suffering from ED, Boston Scientific has created edcure.org to help you find your best cure. To get started, go to edcure.org, take the quiz, learn the severity or risk of ED. And if you have a condition that puts you at a higher risk, you'll find customized content. The fastest way to find your best cure is to contact an ED specialist by browsing a list of experienced physicians in your area. So hit up edcure.org, brought to you by Boston Scientific.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions.
Shout out to Stargazer in the building.
Of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
Y'all saying that's me before the BBL. y'all can't miss shows over there on Bachelor Party Live, man. Hilarious yesterday. That's right, L. It ain't hard, but you can be. Let's get our next guest up in here. Somebody got it right, by the way. Somebody got it right. Miss Queen, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How you doing, Cowboys Nation? Hi, Sky.
How are you?
Oh, I am so wonderful. As far as that ED cure, all they got to do is put my lips in a can. It'll be all fixed for them.
What you got for us this morning?
Okay, so on a football note, I am so looking forward to this upcoming season. The only thing I'm worried about is how Gary and those guys are going to treat our players that are up for contracts and things of that nature.
Yeah.
That always, like puts a damper in my mood about that, because I know those assholes are going to, do their usual thing.
Yeah.
Talk bad about our players.
Yep.
Just so they can, don't have to pay them so much money, they think. But other than that, I'm so looking forward to it. What you got to say, Scott?
Yeah, they're going to try to turn the public's opinion on the player. That's their MO. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't stand that. But other than that, please keep me posted on these guys that are coming up in the draft. And I appreciate all your hard work, and I love your show. Thank you, Sky.
Thank you, Miss Queen. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, bye-bye.
Hey, if you want to be kept up on draft stuff later on, Miss Queen, and Cowboys Nation, Bomb Squad, Boston Party Live. I believe today is All 32 Day, which means we will be talking about drafts. I think we're actually going to be reacting to a mock draft, which is talking about the draft anyway. So tune in. Y'all just knew it was Queen when I said this next call is presented by Boston Scientific. You just knew it was Queen. I'm surprised she didn't throw a little shot at Kellen. I gave you the alley, Miss Queen. I gave you the alley right there. Appreciate you calling in as always, though. Good stuff today, Cowboys Nation. It was a caller yesterday who actually inspired me to attack the tight ends today. I usually try to do something else, but I got fired up yesterday talking tight end, so I wanted to do it. I'm glad I did. This was a good discussion, and really probably the most exciting position that we've discussed so far, because every other position had major question marks, right? This one doesn't seem to have a lot to me. It doesn't have a lot. The only question they got to ask themselves is, do we want to bring back Dalton Schultz in? We know the answer to that. Get to some super chats on the way out. Lemitra, I meant to actually
super chat.
Talk about this when you dropped it. You said, can we snatch Calvin Ridley from the Jaguars? In theory, sure. You can try to trade for him, but the Jaguars just traded for Calvin Ridley, which, man, see, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that I say, why can't we do that? Like, you see you're having an issue at the receiver position. Calvin Ridley is a young stud that they got for nothing that you can put on his team next year. So the Jaguars are not going to get rid of Calvin Ridley. They're going to have Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Ingram. They're putting guys around their queue, you know. But I would have loved to that'd have been such a savvy move, man, to say, yo, we're going to trade for Calvin Ridley while he's suspended and for nothing, really. And if I think it was a conditional pick, and that pick, if it hits that condition, like I say all the time, that means that you got the best out of that player that year. So you actually won. Towboat Ty.
Super chat.
Drop 5 and said, Turpin utilized as a receiver and returner reminds me of Rocket Ishmael. Ooh, the Rocket. Rocket was actually used, though, as a receiver. That's kind of the tail end of Troy Aikman's Cowboy career. Turpin wasn't, right? Like, Turpin wasn't. And I think, yeah, that's it for today. I was about to read Miss Ellis's from yesterday. So, yeah, man, the Rocket. He does some crosstalk stuff. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him. Being here in Dallas, I might be able to make that work at some point in the offseason. Offseason is about trying to get some of those interviews. All right, with that said, man, perfect timing. These offseason early shows are likely not going to be extremely long. But once free agency gets here and obviously the draft coverage starts to kick up, these things will maybe extend a little bit longer. But we're about to hit a weird period where there's nothing. There's no combine until the end of the month, beginning of March. And that week of the 27th, I will be out all week. I'm moving, which a lot of good things are happening here. Not only am I moving, but like I said a few weeks ago, we were in discussions to continue this growth here with A to Z Sports. And your boy's locked in for another extension. So y'all ain't getting rid of me. I'll be here for a number of years. So a lot will be happening that week. Taking a bit of a break. Just want to let y'all know that right now. And I'll be back the following week, though. March, was that 3rd, 4th, something like that? 5th, something like that. I'll be back, and we'll be talking about the combine and all that, and continuing to build, man. Continuing to build this thing and get in front of as many quality Cowboy fans. I always talk about quality Cowboys content. I might need to turn that into quality Cowboy fans. Because I like to discuss and have conversations with, and quality don't mean we got to agree. I have some of the most fun conversations with people I disagree with. But if you're here, I say it all the time. You're a diehard. And if you're here and you're active, you're engaging, or you're going out and hell, you're telling me some things and I'm learning, or you're learning some things and you're a quality fan. You're a quality fan. You're not one of those shock jock fans, one of those network fans. And I respect you more. Thank you for the congratulations in the chat. Appreciate that a whole lot, man. I'm excited about the future moving forward. I really am. With that said, Cowboys Nation, let me make sure I ain't forget anymore. Boom. One more. I know I saw some. Just the dude dropped one.
Super chat.
Said, when you doing running backs, Bijan tape. Usually those specific breakdowns this early in the draft process are with Vach's show. I like to really dive into, if you guys remember last year, we have like the combine standouts, right? Where we talk about, we have top 5 of the position. You say running back. That's usually post combine, because now we got a nice little solid 2 to 3 weeks to discuss that, and then free agency hits. Right now we got to start talking about free agency. So it's the off season, just a dude. We got to kind of slow roll these things, because it's a long time until we get any Cowboys football. A long time. So just be patient and we'll get to all of it. I got you. With that said, Cowboys Nation, appreciate y'all for being here. I'm going to press this button. Y'all were fantastic. The calls, the super chats, the chat in general. Man, y'all the best. Don't forget the 401k. Listen, man. It's crazy. One day I will discuss this whole scenario from PA to down here. It wasn't easy. It was Boston Scientific hard. I'm out. Love y'all. Peace.
Squad!